We do speak Spanish as a second language, and we also learn to speak Spanish in schools. So presently we're passing through BeliZe City before we get out on the main highway. BeliZe City is not the capital of our country. It's more of what you'd call the commercial capital. It's where everything is located, all the businesses, jobs. Everybody comes here looking for work from throughout the entire country, so it should be quite busy in here. You will notice our streets are very narrow, even our highways. BeliZe City especially wasn't a planned city, so it wasn't built for these large coaches to be in and out of the city daily, especially since cruise tourism is one of the fastest growing industry for us today. We do get a lot of visitors sometimes of the year, so presently we do a lot of diversions because they're reconstructing the streets. So you would see work getting done on some of the streets here and there eventually. You will note that in BeliZe City, a lot of homes here are built on stilts. You will go along the country, you will notice that it hasn't really changed there either. For BeliZe City, since the city alone is approximately 2 to 3 feet below sea level, building homes a little bit high is quite necessary, especially when it comes to the rainy months and the flooding and all. So apart from that, like in the countryside, you'll see homes built on stilts. It's more of a tradition where we have a lot of extended families, a lot more individuals living within the home, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. And also to host them, you would case up the downstairs part of your home, and that would just add extra rooms to your house. So that is why a lot of homes is built on stilts. Apart from that, you wouldn't see a lot of air-conditioned units on our homes. The reason for that is, well, electricity rate here is a little bit high. So that would take it up too high. So we use stand fans, or the higher up you build, it makes the homes cooler, especially with the type of ventilation we're using. When it comes to the bars on the homes, you'd see a lot of businesses, homes even today, have bars, what we call burglar bars. So the name speaks for itself. But having bars in our homes, it also helps to lower the insurance premium on these homes. And of course, we're a country prone to hurricanes. So instead of drilling and ruining our walls every year, we just put the bars there. And every year you slide a piece of thin board in between the bars and the shutter, and that is what helps to protect your homes, your doors, everything. And of course the fences you see around a lot of homes, especially even if it's just a small lot. It's just to show property. Again, it's something we've been doing for years. It's just to show where property starts, where it ends. You'll notice very much that in BeliZe we do not have zoning laws. That's not very important to us. I guess that's just the way it started out and we haven't really gotten to it. But in the capital, which is Belmopan City, over 50 miles from this city, they are building that city differently, so you would see that that area is different, but you won't be passing through there today. As for BeliZe City, you get a piece of land from the government, you purchase your property, and you build whatever you could afford to build there. So if it's a school somebody's trying to open next to a bar that was already there, that's just the way it happened here. So you wanted to build your home and there's a disco over on the other side, that's just the way it happened. So you would see a lot of business where residences are and stuff like that. These streets here, they're very narrow. You would see the river, you would see canals in the city. Those are different ways that helps to empty the flood waters during a rainy season. In BeliZe, you'll learn that we only experience 2 seasons here. So it's either hot and hotter. Somebody said it. It's always hot in BeliZe. But we don't want you to go back and tell your family and friends about the heat. You tell them about everything else except the heat, right? So that would be the rainy season and the dry season. This bridge is called Bell China Bridge. You might notice the other one on the right, that's the Bell Can Bridge. The Bell China Bridge, Bell for Belize and China for China, Bell for Belize and Can for Canada, those government help donating money for us to build those bridge. So that is why they got the name Bell China and Bell Can Bridge. So those two bridges also connects the north and south side of Belize City. Belize as a country is not an island. We're part of the mainland. Belize City, on a map you would notice it's a little bit of an island. So that is why we needed the bridges to connect different parts of the country, because of the Caribbean Sea and the water, the different water bodies that surround us in Belize City. So the north side is where more affluent families would be residing. The south side is where the middle and lower income earners are residing. So that's the difference between north side and south side. As we go through the city, you will notice fuel stations from time to time. One or two of them might have the prices up, but not all of them. And even throughout the country, the reason for that, it's all the same. So you hear of a change in the media this morning, and by the time the day ends, everybody already know about the change. So what's the price gonna be at this station? It's gonna be the same over on the other side of the city. So you don't really have to put up a price, and it keeps changing a lot. So that is why they don't really put up prices here. It's quite expensive filling up your cars here in Belize. So a lot of people are on bicycles, motorbikes, public transportation. Those are what we use a lot more. You might be complaining about $3, $3.50, $4. Complain when you get to Belize and pay $6 for a gallon of gas. Convert that into our money. We do have our own currency, which is a Belize dollars, 2 Belize to 1 US. So that's almost $12, $13 we're paying, because it's a little bit over 6. So that is why a lot of people do use public transportation. You would see what you may have been using as school buses back at home. When they bring them into the country, we use them for public transportation. So you might see quite a few of them be passing us along the way as we move on. Up ahead, you'll notice as we make a turn, a right turn, you will notice a roundabout there. Speed bumps and roundabout help to regulate the flow of traffic. The status stoplight that you saw a little bit a while ago, that's just one of the few that we have. So we do not have a lot of traffic lights. This roundabout right here, you notice a hand monument. We refer to it as the visible hand. It was donated by a Taiwanese student, or by Taiwan, on Belize's 20th anniversary of independence. The hand shows unity between the nations. We do get along well. And the leaf is to show the preservation and conservation that happens in Belize. So you would find out that almost 70% of our land is still not yet developed. As for the speed bumps, when you hear me say sleeping policeman ahead, that is what we call the speed bumps here. Sleeping policeman. So we like to change the name of things here. We're passing through a cemetery. This is the oldest cemetery in the country, has been open since the 1800s. It's known as the Lord Rich Cemetery. So right about now it's closed, but yes, they still have few reserved spaces in here. So from time to time you would see funerals passing while you're passing. We bury our loved ones below the ground in the country of Belize. So because we're below sea level here, we would dig like 3 feet below the ground, and then the tomb are just markers. Yes, some families believe in burying their loved one above the ground, so some of them are above, but majority here are below the ground. So that's the belief. You dig 3 feet below, and more than likely the tombstones are about 3 feet above. You go to different parts of the country where they're burying below the ground, it's going to be 6 feet below. I'm gonna pass around a waiver of liability that we need you to sign. You all know what that's about. Feel free to read it before you sign. We ask for your name, your ship name, your cabin number, and your signature. I don't recall seeing any kids on board, but if there's anyone under the age of 18, then parents just need to sign for them. Sign your name individually and not as Mr. or Mrs. So as soon as you're finished, just pass it on to the next person behind you. When it gets all the way to the back, just cross it over and keep sending it up. We should have 48 signatures by the time I get back up here. So now we're officially on the Western Highway. It is now known as the George Price Highway, formerly the Western Highway. But locally we do not like a lot of change. So when they change the name of the highway last year to George Price Highway, George Price is the father of our nation. He died about going on 2 years now. He was the founder for independence of our country. And so in his honor, the Prime Minister, the running Prime Minister right now, changed the name of the highway to his name, which is George Price. But a lot of us still stick with Western Highway. In BeliZe, you can't get lost. There are only 4 major highways. So if you want to go west, you will be taking this one called the Western Highway. You want to go north, yes, they did change it to Philip Goldson Highway, but you ask anybody, they'll tell you the Northern Highway. So you go north on the Northern Highway. South is the Southern Highway. East, well, that's where the cruise ship is. So we don't have an Eastern Highway. The 4th one is called the Hummingbird Highway. That one connects you west and south of the country. So going from north and west or east, you take the Hummingbird Highway to get south. So they named it the Hummingbird Highway after realizing, well, they were surveying the area. This is the story of how they got the name. They were surveying the area to build the highway, and so many hummingbirds were spotted along that highway, so it was nicknamed the Hummingbird Highway, and the name stuck there. So as for our country, it's quite small. Inland mass, we're approximately 8,867 square miles. So inland mass, we could be compared to the state of Massachusetts. I don't know if I said that right. Yes. But they're quite small. When you're talking about how many people are living within these places, while they have